Realtors versus wholesalers. Realtors versus wholesalers, the age-old battle. I've watched it every day. If you guys haven't participated in it, let's break it down. Let's see what's actually going on here. So listen, before I get started, do me a favor, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. If you want to hear more videos from myself, Rick Ginn, and my son, Zach. In this corner, we have the realtor. Now, realtors are known for top dollar houses. They get the tippy top dollar. They only deal with nice, beautiful homes. The realtor is a showing specialist. They know how to schedule showings. They know how to show the house in its best light and lighting, photography, a lot of times paid photography, and they are comp specialists. They understand per square foot, the value of the house, the value of the kitchen, the bathrooms, the pools, you name it. And they usually wear very nice outfits. The men wear nice suits with ties or a polo shirt. And the ladies always wear a beautiful business suit or even a nice dress with. So in this corner, we have the wholesaler. Now, let me introduce wholesaler. He's straight off the street. He's got a t-shirt on, or she. Typically flip-flops, especially if you're in Florida. They are completely unlicensed. They have a lot of internet training, so to speak. Some of them have guru training. They only mostly focus on ugly, beat-up, dilapidated houses. I got to be honest with you, they're not pretty to look at all. They deal mostly in cash transactions, and they specialize in solving problems, and their true gift and ability is typically marketing and the gift of gab to talking to people. So guys, that's it. I got the realtors over here. I got the wholesalers over here. Let's deep dive into this because I've always found this as just an entertaining topic. Why does each side hate each other so much? So I want you to understand of how we've gotten to this problem. So a realtor is basically a licensed professional that has to take typically a state exam, and they have to pass it. Now, keep in mind, the exam is focused on ethics, contract disclosure, a lot of lingo used in real estate with appraisals and attorneys. And it talks about basically not interfering with other realtors. And basically they have to answer to a board. So once they pass the test, which to be honest with you, doesn't teach them how to do the marketing or how to do the negotiations, which to me is probably the two biggest features you want to learn. And most good realtor programs go on to teach them that. But the license just teaches them the rules and the ethics of the realty community. And then they have to answer to a board. So if you have a complaint against a realtor, you can file it. And then they work under a broker. And if there's any complaint or anything like that, they have to answer to the broker and the board. Most brokers don't want any problems, so that's why the profession is held in such a high regards. Now, in the old days, they had complete access and monopoly of the MLS system. Today with the internet, the rules have really changed on it. Everybody kind of shares the MLS, you and me included. And this is going to be an important feature to show you why the battle's been pitted against them. So guys, I do want you to understand this. 90% of all real estate transactions go through a realtor. We don't need realtors to survive as wholesalers, you know that. But understanding, at some point, sometime, you will run into a realtor on a property you're most likely trying to contract. So it's a lot of sellers feel comfortable working with a realtor because they feel they're in their best interest. A lot of them look at realtors just like they look at lawyers. So remember, a realtor never charges up front, so there's no obligation to have that consultation. And a realtor's main objective is to fight for the highest price. Why is that? Commissions. They are paid typically anywhere from, 3 to 6%, maybe as high as 7% of the sales price for them to help navigate the seller through a successful sale, which is great. I mean, and to be honest with you, most people need it because they don't know how to negotiate. They only buy a few homes in their lifetime, and that is the purpose of the realtor. The challenge is, let's go over on the wholesaler side. We are marketing specialists. We are unlicensed, and we deal with usually houses that have issues. The problem really lies into a lot of realtors and wholesalers just don't see eye to eye because they've never sat down and have an understanding. So let's do this. In a realtor's eyes, what's the realtor's view of a wholesaler? I'm going to tell you exactly what it is because I've been called every name in the book. And if you haven't by now, wholesalers are cheap. They make me run endless comps. They never buy. They do this thing called the signing, which I think is illegal. They just use me and then they eventually cut me out of all the deals. And I've been burnt by so many investors. I will not work with investors because it's always the same story. Now, let's flip over on the other side. The wholesaler's view of a realtor. And you guys and gals, you know this is true. And keep in mind, my wife's a realtor. So, number one, the realtor has no skin in the game. So, like, they really don't care. That's not completely true, but like I get it. They're not putting a deposit. They're just listing a house. A listing is nothing more than a listing. It's not a sale. The realtors, they just get in the way of my transactions. Like they always talk my clients and convince them to getting more. The realtor just focuses on the sales price. And if they truly understood the net the seller was going to receive, they would understand why a cash offer would be in their best interest. Realtors set unrealistic sales expectations because it's just a promise. It's never going to wind up being a fact most of the time. And listen, all they do is focus on the end sale price. So if you have all these seller concessions and all these fees and stuff, what is the seller really going to wind up with? Realtors don't tell the sellers the truth. They just want to get the property listed. And last but not least, realtors just, let's face it, they kiss a lot of butt to get a deal done. Someone's always whining and crying all the way up to the closing. They wind up being professional babysitters a lot of times. So that's just when you hear opposing sides' opinions, that's their outlook on the other. And that's why we are constantly fighting. Now, there are some truths in that. I won't deny it. But a lot of it's myths and just generalizations. And if you understand that 90% of all transactions go through a realtor, then you need to make a decision to stop fighting with them because it's not good for your business. So there's two types of realtors that come up all the time across my board. So today we're out dealing with rental properties, some creative financing, and some cash deals we're buying, and a couple light rehabs we're working on. I come across realtors almost on a daily basis. So you have a choice. You can either continue this negative trend, like realtors are bad, they get my way, or you can start using dialogue that will help engage realtors and stop fighting with them. So do not pick a fight you're not going to win. So if you've ever been in a property and a realtor showed up and you're a wholesaler there, you got one or two choices. Well, actually you got three. You can just leave, which you're not going to get anything by leaving. Number two, you can sit there and just get in a throwdown fight about how nasty, and you guys can give reviews on it. Or number three is you can engage the realtor, actually help get your point across. What I'm saying is you can actually win the realtor over. So in my experience is trying to run the realtor over and get in a fight with them just makes you look terrible in front of the seller. So stop doing it. If she says, hey, my neighbor's a realtor and she told me that you would just lowball me and it won't work out, do not sit there and just run the realtor under the bus. It will not work out. I've even invited realtors in and we sit down and we talk. And if they're in the best interest of the client, they'll help solve the problem. If they're not, it'll be blatantly apparent to the seller. And in the end, you'll look like the hero. So listen, let's face it. People need us in the market. Now, 90% of the houses do not sell with wholesalers, and I know that. So we're a niche market. But you eventually will cross paths with the realtor, and you need to prepare for it. So instead of preparing going for war, figure out how to win your seller over. And instead of discluding the realtor, if it's the neighbor and you can't get rid of them, bring them on over. And I can't tell you how many times I've done this, and I still do this today with my acquisitions people. So here's the problem, and I'm going to go specifically how to deal with the realtor. Number one, wholesalers and realtors, the problem is it's a buyer versus seller mentality. It's like someone's got to win. That's not it. Like, honestly, the houses that need to be listed, I will refer them all day long to a realtor. That's easy as pie. So that's one of your wins with the realtors. Hey, listen, by the way, I have houses all the time that are like in great shape. And honestly, it's in their best interest to get top dollar. Are those type of properties I can refer to you? That's the example I'm going to use when that realtor comes over, because her house is run down, it's outdated, and she even admits it needs a cash buyer. So why don't we exchange? I'll give you the sweet leads, and you can oversee this transaction if she wants to, because you're going to do everything above board, and that'll be a win-win. How is she going to turn you down, or how is he going to turn you down on that deal? Okay. Number two, it's the scarcity versus the abundance mindset. Okay. A lot of realtors are just like, they're in this, I got to protect my market type of deal. If you subscribe to the abundance mindset, meaning there's more deals out there than you can put under contract, you will change how you think about this. So don't get in a fight. Like, there are certain deals that just need a realtor, and you need to acknowledge it, and you need to move on and let the realtor and give them their credit due, and then go find a deal that needs a wholesaler. So there's tons and tons of deals. I can't tell you how many wholesalers I have in my market. If I had a scarcity mindset, I would not be in business for 18 years. So I want you to learn from that. So you're going to come from an abundance mindset. And if the realtor comes from a scarcity, it's going to be blatantly apparent in front of your seller, and you will win the contract 9 times out of 10 when you do that. If you get in a fight with them and just start like, oh, you guys just list stuff, you never buy, you're going to drag it out, it looks like you're trash talking, and it puts you in a bad light. So scarcity versus abundance, you are an abundance mindset. It will change how you think in all levels of your life, including your business. So keep in mind, for the most part, we have different types of transactions and customers for the most part. So a lot of times we don't cross-pollinate, but when we do, you're better off trying to work with them than to run them over, and you definitely cannot trash talk them. Here's my tips to work with realtors. Number one, if you're talking negatively about them, especially in front of your sellers, stop it, because they're going to use it as fuel not to do a contract with you. People don't like to deal with negative people. Your sellers are no different. Don't be scared of the realtor. Most realtors are fearful of investors because they don't understand what they do. They don't even on the part where it says may assign contract, they don't understand that section because they've never had anyone walk them through it. So number one, educating your real estate agents and helping them out, understanding how you can better serve their clients by being a bona fide cash buyers. By the way, I've bought these properties here, and if you have anything else that comes up, then I'd love to work with you. Keep in mind, 90% of the transactions go through realtors. So they know when they meet with a seller and the property typically has to sell for cash, or they need a fast sale and needs repairs, why not work with someone like you? All you have to do is show them you get paid your full commission, which why not? Just pay their commission. It's worth it instead of doing that battle. And then potentially, if you decide to resell it, after you do the rehab, you'll consider using them to relist the property. I never promise that, because they have to be really good at reselling the property, and sometimes they're just not qualified to do that. So that's a great tip to work with the realtors. And then the other one is I always invite bringing a realtor in that, now I don't want to bring every realtor in. So if I'm competing for a contract on a property and she says, hey, my neighbor's a realtor, that's great. She goes, do you mind if we include her in the conversation? You're going to look so much better if you say yes. Absolutely. And then you come in and you walk through the damages stuff to the property and go from there. 9 times out of 10, that seller's reached out to you because the realtor next door has not solved their problem yet. So don't fear it. Just run. You can go head on into it and understand you're there for a win-win situation. If it's a nice, pretty house that needs no repairs and it doesn't need a quick sale, for all means, list it with the realtor. But Mr. Seller, Mrs. Seller, you told me you want to get this closed in 21 days. You don't want to do any repairs, and you do not like paying commissions and closing fees. And I've made you an offer that takes care of all that. Would you agree to that? And you'd be surprised how many realtors are like, well, you know what? I don't know if I could find a buyer like that. And then what you want to do is win that realtor over. Okay, listen, if I have you review the documents, look it over, and Also, keep in mind, I'm going to be there and this client comes up in the future. What you want to do is train your realtors so when that situation comes up in the future, they call you. Their number one thing they want to protect is to make sure you're not going to cut them out of a deal and you're going to pay them. So if you can solve those two problems, you can stop fighting with this ridiculous headbutting with the realtor wholesaler war. And remember, always be open to working with realtors. Realtors, they have some of the best cash buyer lists you'll ever find. Yes, you still have to pay them. It's all negotiable. Guys, if we can learn to work with our realtors to get our properties under contract instead of battling with them, we can stop this ridiculous head battle we got going on in our heads. Because let's face it, the world needs realtors and the world needs wholesalers. We're not going away, so you might as well figure out how to exist together. Keep in mind, you can train your realtors to bring you a steady source of leads. Here's the key. You don't want them calling them on every person. If they call you once or twice a year, I'm fine with that, because not many properties qualify under realtors' terms for what we're looking for. And then remember, you can also utilize realtors, especially if you're doing virtual marketing, anything like that, to help you sell some of your properties. Remember, a lot of them have a private list of cash buyers that trust them intimately, and you can share in that information. There's so many ways to work with a realtor and make it a win-win situation. So if you've engaged in that trash talking or you get in like the battle, be super confident. If your clients called you off some sort of marketing piece, or it was a cold calling, or you reached out to them and they want to talk to you, there's a reason. So if there's a realtor in the mix, if they were so good at what they did, they would have solved the problem. 9 times out of 10, they need a cash buyer. The problem is most realtors, if they're not predisposed to wholesalers like us, they have to go out and figure it out in the market. And a lot of times they don't have the time. It's too overwhelming, and it's embarrassing them to tell their neighbor, their client, their friend, their family member that that is the issue. So be the hero, engage them, make it work, and let's break this battle, guys. This isn't a drag down UFC or a full title boxing match. There's a stigma between us. So let's get through it. I've been on both sides of it. I've fought. And I tell you, fighting the realtors, you're never going to win in the long run doing it. So it just makes you look bad in front of the seller, your peers, your title company, everybody in it. So if you're open to dialogue and talking and working out a problem, your confidence will go through the roof and you will look like the hero every time in your seller's eyes. And don't be surprised if that realtor sends you a lead or two. So guys, do me a favor, hit the like button, hit that subscribe button. If you like getting content just like this, you like me sharing my experiences with you, let's stop the battle. Tell me what you think. Can you work with a realtor? Can this fight end? Can we call a truce on this feud? Let me know, guys. This is Rick with Flip with Rick, and I'll see you soon.